Hi all. For art, I have two resources, Word documents and PowerPoint that I wanted to show you, which I had gone through to see if they're accessible or not. So I wanted to start off with my first grade lesson that I teach my students to learn parts of their colors. So at this point in the year, they would have learned about their primary, their secondary colors, and the color wheel. I then go into the cool and the warm, and I do a project called the Japanese wind socks. So I pulled up my PowerPoint to go through it, and I did actually make some changes after doing the reading that I wanted to play around with. So first of all, I did not change anything on this page right away. My headings were already set and worked very well with the reader, and I am working on an Apple my MacBook, so I was able to use the reader that's programmed into my computer, and I was pleasantly surprised that some of the stuff did get read pretty well, but on the same hand, some stuff was totally missed. Even when I did go in and try to add changes, wasn't working. So for example, I do have to highlight text in order for it to read aloud, and I made my own keystroke, which I decided to do Command S as Command Speak.
Japanese wind socks. Warm and cool colors.
So it did read the first opening to the PowerPoint quite well. And to me, I believe this is visual for students that may have any visual issues. I like to go very simply with my PowerPoints, not only because when we are displaying colorful artwork, like in this example, I like to have a black contrasting background. That way it's not overwhelming. I don't like to have any of the pictures fly in. I don't like things blinking. I don't like super clicks. You have to click through 30 things just to get four pictures to show up. I like it very plain, so I think this helps with not having too much distraction or going on in the PowerPoint, which may have students overwhelmed with all the things that are going on. And again, I use the white text to stand out against the black. Now this is in a smaller, since I'm not actually in the PowerPoint right now, so it would get much bigger. But overall, again, I think the contrast would help visually, and the large text. Again, this read actually very well, probably better than how I would say some of the Japanese in here. So I'll go ahead and play that for you as well.
Koinabori, meaning carp streamer in Japanese, are carp-shaped wind socks traditionally flown in Japan to celebrate Tango no Seku, a traditional calendrical event which is now designated a national holiday, Children's Day.
So as you can see, this read pretty well, but after doing the reading and looking into things, I did put an alternative text on here. So I'll even show you that I did that, and no matter, I mean, I'm hitting Command S and it's telling me no way, it's not going to work. I actually went in here and put an alternative text, and it doesn't like to recognize that right away. I mean, I may be doing something wrong, but I did find that interesting that it wouldn't highlight it to read it aloud. So as far as doing the PowerPoint, the beginning part was great. However, when I get here, this is very visual. Now again, I used a large picture and I have the colors right here, but if you do have a student that has certain color blindness, it's going to be very difficult to tell certain colors apart. I would need to set up this, that the screen reader would read, this is green, this is blue, this is purple, or it would say warm, red, orange, yellow, and then describe the picture. So there's a few alternative things I would need to do for this PowerPoint to be read correctly if there was any kind of visual or hearing impairments. Then once they go through that PowerPoint, I have a few worksheets. So let me go to the warm and cool. So this is the warm and cool. Again, it read pretty well. It says it had your name, fill in the circle completely. It did not read, however, circle, 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 which I would have liked it to say. That way the student knows that there is a circle. And then also about the space that's here. When you get down to the bottom, it read underscore, 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 forever until it filled this space. So I would need to go in there and actually add a line so it wasn't actually reading underscore 100,000 times. It would just say blank space or whatever I need it to say. That way the student knows that they are drawing a picture here, and then they're going to name if this was the warm colors or if this was the cool colors, because I do give it as an option for them to, think for themselves. So that was a review of the cool and the warm. I did do black on white. I remember in school learning that having white text on black is better for anyone that may have visual impairments. But when you're printing things at school or having it, easily accessible, you're always going to use white as your background for documents because that's what it's going to print on. I didn't have any lists or any kind of bullet points. Um, the hierarchy here probably could be fixed a little bit, that this is the instructions, because when you do the speak aloud, it just rambles through this, so there's no pausing. I would have to fix the hierarchy of how this all goes through. And then the last thing, this is like a review of all their color. This did read pretty well, but it doesn't even touch on the blank color wheel that's here. So again, I would need to add that there is a blank color wheel here that they're supposed to be filling in. It just goes through the directions. And then down here, again with the circles, when you print it out, the kids are coloring in each circle. But down here, it just said plus equals, plus equals, plus equals. It didn't make it clear that it was what I call a color equation, so that you could color one color plus another color equals the secondary color. So overall, the handouts that I would give read decently well. As far as visually, I would prefer to have the black background and the white like I do for my PowerPoints, mainly because I know that it's more visually appealing whether you have a visual impairment or not. And again, I don't like to have crazy swooshing things in or things blinking, which I did read about for students that may have epilepsy. That's not a good thing. Or students that are easily distracted. If you've got things swinging all around or bright colors in the background, I think that's going to be hard to see. Because if I had chosen a yellow background, it's going to be very hard to see that white type. So I did make some of these decisions previously correct, but after doing some of the reading, there are still some changes that I would need to do about the pictures and making sure that each color is clarified if they were unable to see or to distinguish the colors. So this was overall my assessment of the accessibility of my PowerPoint and some handouts dealing with color that I do with first grade.